Welcome to a special episode of the MC Knitting Adventures podcast. My name's Colleen.
And my name is May. And today we're going to be talking about our day trip to Toronto, Ontario, which was absolutely amazing. The whole idea of the day trip in Toronto was to meet with my son and take the train ride home with him. But we couldn't go to Toronto without visiting a yarn store.
Of course.
So we turned that part of it into a venture.
Exactly.
So what we'll do is show you the video of us getting on the Via Rail, going to Toronto, getting into Union Station in Toronto, and then visiting the yarn store, which is called
Romni Wools.
And it is on
Queen Street West.
Queen Street West. And Colleen will talk about the venture of going down Queen Street and what we did when we were in Toronto for the day. And we'll put the video in now and we'll talk to you about it when we come back.
We had an amazing time in Toronto. So let me talk up to you about the yarn store. So I said to May, do you feel up to walking to the yarn store? I explained to her it'd take about a half an hour or so. Was she up for that walk and the walk back?
We could have taken that tram car, that red tram car, or we could have walked. But it was a beautiful day, and we decided that we would walk.
Exactly. And we brought that extra jacket, which was like a windbreak, so it worked really, really well. So I knew the number that we were getting to on Queen Street West. May didn't. And I think that changes up how you view things when you go by. Because I know at one point in time, I looked at her, I said, have you had enough? She goes, it better be soon. and it was. So it worked out okay.
How long of a walk was that?
I think about a half an hour, 35 minutes, something in there.
Okay.
It just seemed, when you don't know where you're going, it can
I was just
seem like
following
a long time.
along.
Exactly. She was doing great.
But there was lots to see. I mean, there was those fabric stores, there was the beads store, there was lots to see on our way.
And we didn't go into fabric stores and we didn't go into bead
We're
stores.
still trying to be careful with the COVID.
Exactly.
So otherwise, I think we would have ventured into more stores.
Exactly.
And Toronto was pretty high numbered wise at one point with COVID, and I didn't even know where it was.
Yeah.
So we just thought we'd be very cautious because we're still trying to be cautious.
Exactly. And I knew that there was a Starbucks on our route. Let's just say there used to be a Starbucks on our route. And I thought, oh, well, we'll get there. We can have a rest and we can go on.
Right.
But there wasn't a Starbucks anymore, so it had closed down. So we just had a little bit more walking to do. So the yarn store itself is called Romni Wools. And it is huge. And sometimes I find it overwhelming, but in a good way. So I had decided in my brain, I knew exactly what I wanted to get. And that sometimes isn't the right way to go because you miss things. May took pictures of things that I didn't even see. You went downstairs, I didn't go downstairs because I was looking in a certain section trying to find the thing I was looking for. It's not the thing I ended up picking up. They had all kinds of ancient art yarns on the wall, all kinds of different cats and dogs and those kind of things. I thought, well, I could get something for my son that's like his dog and then make him a pair of socks out of it. All kinds of things going on in my brain.
Like you say, it was pretty overwhelming. They have a whole room. I don't know if you noticed this or not. Even a whole room just of patterns and books, and it was like a library in there.
Exactly, it's beautiful.
It's like the store that keeps on giving. And then I went down the stairs, like you say, you didn't go down the stairs.
Yeah.
And then I'd go into this little room, and then there was tons of yarn. And then I went into another door, tons of yarn.
Yeah.
And then I went into this other one, which. I should have said to you afterwards, it was all this yarn that you could use, I think, for dyeing.
Exactly. And I didn't even know any of this until I said to May earlier today, I said something about, oh, I'd like to do some dyeing of yarn so we can show that on the podcast. She said, well, at Romney Wools, there was tons of yarn to dye. I went, where was it? Because I didn't see it. So I could have spent a lot longer in that store. And I think
we were on a time crunch because of my son and coming home from Vancouver.
Yeah.
And we wanted to make sure that we were back at the train station to meet him on time. Do you think that was part of it?
That is exactly what it was. And I knew we had another half an hour and I knew we needed to get back to find out when his train was coming in because his train was supposed to get in at 2:30.
Right.
That was the time it was supposed to get in. So we had lots of things on the go. I still had a great time. Still loved looking at it. They have all different kinds of needles, all different kinds of
It would be worth the trip to go to Toronto just to see that yarn store.
Exactly. So there's a Romney Wools that's on Queen Street West, and there's a Romney Wools, same company, that's on Weston Road. So we did go to the one that was on Queen Street West. So what I ended up deciding on, so I'm just going to mention this part, is I bought this opal yarn. It's called Black Dragon 2 Fantasy Island. So it's like it's got a black marled part through it. And it's my colors. It's purple and a little bit of blue, and it's got the black through it. So I am really looking forward to making a pair of socks out of that. That will be really nice. Maybe black.
I can't believe in that huge store that was all that you got over there. But again, maybe because of the time crunch and everything else.
Well, and as I said to you, I really had a plan. I thought I need 2 skeins of DK weight yarn, and this is what I'm going to make with it, and that will be fine. And I didn't see what I wanted, and then I got lost in finding something else, and there's so much there. So give yourself lots of time. Do have some ideas of maybe a couple of projects. Maybe I'd limited myself too much. Maybe that's what I've done.
Maybe that's what you went in there with. with a closed mind, basically.
Yes, yeah. And I needed to go in with an open mind
Right.
and see what kinds of other stuff. They
Right.
have everything in there. But beautiful store, recommended highly. So that's my little adventure. And May, let's talk about.
Well, the whole day was just an amazing day because the weather turned out really nice.
Right.
And I was excited. Mostly, I didn't care about the yarn store, to be honest with you. I mean, I did get the videos and stuff, but
Right.
my whole thing was I can't wait to see my son. I hadn't seen him for a couple of weeks. And I wanted to hear all about his adventure coming back from Vancouver on a train.
Right,
A lot of people
exactly.
want to be able to do that trip. They say,
Right.
"Oh, I've always wanted to go out west,"
Exactly.
and I've wanted to do that too. But I just want to hear his take on it. And he did send one little photo of him on the train where he was in economy class, but the seats they went right back,
Oh,
like
wow.
like a lounge chair. And then they had a car where you could go up 3 or 4 stairs, and it was the bubble car.
Oh, that's amazing.
And he said it was like driving being on top of the train. It was awesome.
Oh, wow.
Now he said you didn't really need to see anything until you got to Jasper, but it was worth it. He said
Yeah.
it was awesome. So
Okay.
at least he can put that on his bucket list that he's taken a train
Exactly.
out west, which is
Right.
awesome. So my mind was there, and I couldn't wait to see him. And I can talk a little bit about Toronto and what's there in Toronto.
Okay, let's
Now,
do that.
In Toronto, there's about 2.8 million people, and they're saying by 2036 there'll be 9 million people.
Oh,
A
my
real
goodness.
diverse community, though.
Right. I know
now-
there's 7 million in Hong Kong. 9 million? Oh my goodness. Now Hong Kong's a little bit more condensed. But anyway.
And now Vancouver was there's 700,000. So Scott was saying the buildings in Toronto seem a little closer. They're very
Right.
tall, but they seemed a little closer than in.
Right, right.
It's more spread out, I think, in Vancouver than it is in Toronto. It's a little condensed too, but maybe not so much as compared to Hong Kong.
Right.
But there's 40 million visitors that go to Toronto every year because they've got the Toronto airport, which is probably the busiest airport in North America. They have, I just wrote some fun facts down here. The lowest temperature in Toronto was in 1943 with a temperature minus 31.3.
Now, I'm just going to say to May, that we had gone to Toronto one time. I was heading to Romney Wools, so she knows how long I walked. And it was minus 24 degrees Celsius. And I thought, I could get on a tram car or I could walk. So I put just about every piece of knitwear that I had on, wrapped up as much as I could, and walked my way there. And I loved that walk. If you ask me right now to go out and walk in minus 24 degrees Celsius weather, I would say, no, thank you. But maybe it was
Right.
that I had that yarn store further down.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm almost there.
It's like
I'm
the
almost
carrot.
there.
Yeah.
That's right.
But yeah, I remember I was there for work, and I remember you telling me about that, saying it was so cold, and I couldn't believe that you walked that
I
far.
did.
Yeah. So it is quite a nice walk. Another thing is Toronto. We have gone to the aquarium, which is worth it. And if you
Right.
have grandkids, it's a great place to take them.
Absolutely,
You can
that's
go
right.
right underneath and see all the fish underneath you.
Yeah.
That's a great place to go. The CN Tower, which is always a nice place to visit in Toronto,
Mm-hmm.
and it was the tallest tower up until 2007, and then they built a taller one in Dubai.
Okay.
So anyway, that's something that you want to see. Another thing that Colleen and I love to do in Toronto is we like to go into the path. Now this year we found it very different after COVID. There's one place that we go where there's a lot of little restaurants and we went there to eat. We was excited because you can choose different things.
Exactly.
And we went there and everything was closed. Like most of it was
closed.
closed. That was very sad. I think
Yeah.
because of COVID, these little places didn't really survive, which was sad.
Exactly.
But the path itself, it actually says something like, it's got the path, PATH, written all up. You can see
Right.
it. And there's something like 1,200 stores underground. It's the
Wow.
largest underground mall, I think, in
Right.
North America.
Right.
And it can take you from actually the Union Station, we've taken it right all the way to our hotel that we stay in, although we didn't stay in the hotel this
Right,
time,
right.
the one that we usually stay in.
It's the Delta.
Yeah.
On Queen Street West.
But they did have chocolate in the path. They did have a chocolate store. Remember we saw that chocolate
Yes,
store and we
we
both were
did.
drooling. But they have Starbucks under there.
Yeah.
I mean, 1,200 stores was just
Exactly.
amazing. So what else did we see? There's 10 million trees. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not know that.
There's 1,500 parks. There's 3,500 hotels.
Holy smokes.
There's 8,100 restaurants, but that with COVID, that may have gone down after what we saw.
Right.
There's Little Italy, Little Portugal. There's Chinatown.
Greek town.
Greek Town. There's all these restaurants. We've gone to, now this time we didn't get an opportunity, but we
Right.
have gone there to eat at the restaurants, and we went
Right.
to an Italian restaurant. It was brilliant, wasn't it?
That's wonderful.
Now,
Yeah.
they do have the Pride Parade, which we've gone to in several years.
Right.
They have a great LGBTQ community. Church Street, that whole area is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's always fun to walk down
Exactly.
Church Street. But we didn't do that this time. Yonge Street's the longest in the world, according to the Guinness Book of World Records.
Wow, that's amazing.
The Rogers Center was the first retractable roof, so where the Blue Jays play in that. So
Right.
that's kind of cool. Have you ever gone to a baseball game?
I've never
Toronto?
been to a baseball game in Toronto.
It's
I've never
fun.
been to a baseball game, period.
We need to do that. We need
Yep.
to go to Toronto to a Toronto Blues Jays game
Okay.
because there was one there the day
Right.
that we had gone to Toronto
Okay.
this trip.
And then we'll go back to the yarn store
Yes.
before the baseball game.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Now, the most fun part for me at a baseball game is the seventh inning stretch. Everybody kind of calls it that thing because it's so boring. I think that
That's right.
you have to do something.
Yeah.
What's that? Casa Loma we've been to in
We have.
Toronto, and
Yep.
it is one of the authentic. It's the only authentic castle in North America.
Now I have to tell you something about Casa Loma. My very first year of supply teaching, I worked at this one elementary school a number of times, and they had said to me, "Are you interested in coming on the field trip with us to Toronto?" I went, "That would be great." And guess where we went to?
Casa
Loma. It was great. So I helped
good.
out with the kids, and it was good. So that's part of my memory of Casa Loma.
Good. What else did they say? What else did they say? Oh, Colleen and I were walking along, so I was taking some photos and this and that. And there was a picture of a lion at the Royal York, which is right across from Union Station.
Right.
And I'd taken a picture of me, and Colleen was taking a picture of. I was taking a picture of you, you were taking a picture of me.
Right.
And some young girl came by and said, "Would you like to come here to take a picture of both of you?" So put that up and show you that one. And it was kind of cute, and then we got chatting with her, and she worked at the Royal
At the Royal York.
Royal York, so it was kind of funny. So there is a lot to do in Toronto. I mean, I
Absolutely.
didn't even mention the theater and the hockey game, and I mean, there
All
is a
kinds
lot
of
to
things.
do, all kinds of things to do in Toronto. So if you ever get a chance to visit there, it's great. The train trip there was awesome. Now, here's the fun part. We're supposed to meet my son at 2:30, and his train was late. They said 4:30, so we were kind of putting in time.
Right?
And then, I don't know what time they said, about 5:30. I thought, I was watching it online where the train was, you
Right.
can kind of watch it, and it said like 5 hours. I thought, well, that's crazy, because then that means he wouldn't get until 7 o'clock at night, and that's too late. And the last train to London from Toronto is 5:30.
Right.
And so we didn't know what we'd do.
Well,
But we kind of
and
had a plan.
we did have a plan because May had said, "Well, we'll just stay overnight." Well, that would have been great, except I had a doctor's appointment first thing on Wednesday morning. So I couldn't miss that appointment. And so I said, "Okay, May, we got to have a plan." So it's okay if Scott's train is late, then you're going to stay here, get all the tickets sorted out, and I'm going to go back on the train by myself.
And which was nice because we had first class tickets on the Via Rail, which I highly
Right.
recommend. On the way
Right.
home, we always do that because you're usually exhausted. You
Yeah.
get a nice meal.
Yeah.
You get treated really nice. You can sit in the Via lounge.
Right.
So
And you had organized where we would be sitting kind of in a set
table for four. Yes. So you were okay with that, and
Exactly.
and that was good, and it took you right home. And the car was there. We had the car that you could just drive home.
Exactly.
Now, when Scott and I Via Rail, I cannot say enough about them. Like, Via Rail was absolutely amazing. We told them our dilemma. We said that we had bought the tickets previously. We were meeting my son. The whole idea was to go home. They said, not a problem. We'll get you accommodations. We'll put you in the room. They said, if you need to go into the room and rest before your son's train comes in, we can do that. All expenses paid. I was like, really? Couldn't believe that they were going to put us up in a hotel, but I wasn't even sure where the hotel was going to be. I thought, if I
Right,
have to walk
right.
another
Any bit.
bit, I don't have it in me.
Right.
But anyway, they said, we're putting you up at the Royal York, which is right
And I
across
thought,
from the
can I stay? I want to stay. I've never been in the Royal York.
I know. Well, we don't usually stay in the Royal York
No.
because it is $500 a night.
Exactly.
Now, I must say, being in there, I thought, the Royal York, wow, because my son had stayed on the way before to there, and we had gotten a hotel room, which was like $300 a night, which
Right.
was fair. So I knew the Royal York was expensive because I thought, there's no way I can't give $500 a night for a hotel. I just
Right.
can't do it.
Right.
But and I was expecting, I have to tell you, I was expecting for $500 a night, grandiose and stuff, but it wasn't grand. Like, it was just like a regular hotel room. But I have to say, it was absolutely spotless.
Right.
It wasn't big and it wasn't fancy, but it was spotless. Where I
Exactly.
found the grandioses was out in the hallways, like by the elevators. I think there was 10 elevators out in the hallway, and
Oh, my
and
goodness.
I didn't even get a picture of that, which I wish I did. And it was awesome. So
Exactly.
they had said when you and your son, you can get your son off the train, go to the hotel right across the road, which he was happy about. He only had to walk a few
Right,
steps.
because he would have been exhausted.
Yes. And so then they said, and he gets a $30 voucher for dinner,
Okay.
for his dinner.
So I'm going to just interrupt for just a second. So I leave May, I get on the train, I'm sitting in a table, things for four, by myself, there's two other people, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm just going to read a book on my phone, and then it ends up that these two people know each other. So they're chatting back and forth, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is not what I had planned. I had planned that we would be sitting talking in here about
Oh,
Scott's
no.
thing. So anyway, the meal was lovely, Via was wonderful. We'll have to do it again.
We'll do it again for sure.
Okay, sorry for the interruption.
No, but
Back to Scott.
that's kind of your experience. My
Yeah.
experience totally different.
Okay.
I got to see my son on the train. He's so excited. He's so happy. We go across the hotel. Now, the guy said to the voucher, you have to make sure you tell the people that you have this voucher. I said, okay. So then we went to the hotel to check in. And the Via Rail was going to walk over, but I said, we know where it is. We're fine. So we walked in there, and the lady at the front desk said, you have this voucher dinner for your dinner. Please make sure you tell the waitress beforehand. I said, okay. So we checked in, we got in the room. I was going to get pictures of Scott, but he couldn't. But I think I see him in one of the pictures. I got him in one of the mirrors, not on purpose, but because, he was on a train for 4 days.
Right.
So then he showered. We went down for dinner. The restaurant was closing because it was a little late, so we stayed in this bar, which was awesome. It had the nice flames, and we had some nice food. He had the clams and the salad, and I had French fries and Coke, and it was just a really nice time for him to tell me all about the trip, and I did embarrass him though with the voucher because they did tell me to tell the lady.
Yes.
So
You were doing as you were told.
when the lady came, I said, by the way, we have a voucher. And she goes, oh, okay, make sure you tell the waiter. Everybody's saying, make sure you tell.
Yeah.
So she says, when the waiter comes, just make sure you tell the waiter that you have the voucher. I said, okay. So the waiter comes, and we're ready to order. And I said, by the way, we have a voucher. And he goes, pardon me? I said, we have a voucher. And my son's like, oh my God, Mother, I can't believe you're saying this. So I think I've embarrassed him a little bit. But once we got over that, it was good. And we sat there for most of the night till 12 o'clock. Got on the next train in the morning,
Right.
the first train, which I think was at
6 o'clock, I
6
think.
o'clock.
Yeah.
So we got on that first train home, first class again. We were in the Via Rail Lounge, which was lovely. On the train, we had a lovely breakfast. You could have eggs, or you could have fruit and yogurt, and we had a nice time on the train. And Scott
great.
was like,
Yeah.
I can't believe this is so beautiful. He says it's like 2 hours because they had waited for a freight train for 5 hours
I
or something
know.
like
That's why
that.
they
So
were
that's why
so
they were
late.
so late. Ended up, we had a great time.
Exactly.
I can't believe, like I say, Via Rail took the tab for a $500 a night hotel,
Right,
which was
exactly.
absolutely amazing. And I think it was because we had purchased the tickets previous.
Yes, ahead of time.
Yeah, because
And you were so good to be on the ball about getting things set because you knew there was a possibility it was going to be a problem. You'd
right.
spoken
Well, when you're
to
coming
them.
that far, too,
Exactly, and
you know.
you'd spoken to the person ahead of time, and I know that you had mentioned to me that person, the Via person, was so happy you'd done all their things that you'd
Right.
done ahead of time. So
Now the Via, when I saw what Scott was, the lounge that he was in, like when he was in economy,
right,
to Vancouver, I thought you and I could totally do that because
from Jasper.
from Jasper, it wasn't a regular seat; it was a lounge seat.
Yeah.
I mean, you might as well do that
Yeah.
because if you've seen the little cabins they have. They're
Right.
very expensive.
Right.
And you don't sleep in them anyway, and they're very
Right.
cramped. This wasn't any. Scott said he had lots of room. There was nobody
Right.
beside him.
Yeah.
So it was really fun to hear his experience and what he thought
Exactly.
about Vancouver. He's never been out west before, and so it was really awesome. And I hope that you and I could go back when we
Right,
had dinner
exactly.
again. It was nice
That'd
to
be
be
good.
back on a train again.
May mentioned the French fries. They sound like something I need to have. So I don't know if a train trip to the French fries, but that's what
We
we'll do.
didn't. I didn't have their gravy, but I know you're a French fry and
I'm
gravy
gravy person.
person.
I absolutely
We
am.
really need to go back and have those French fries, and you can have gravy if they have the gravy. But
Right.
the atmosphere was beautiful in there.
Yeah,
Like
it'd be nice.
I have to tell you, the day before we went there, they had a movie. Somebody says, "Oh, it's a lot less busy today." They had the whole street shut off the day before we got there
Wow.
because they were making the movie The Rabbit Hole. It's a series. I guess it's not a movie; it's a series.
Right.
And they changed the whole hotel the day before into it was called. I think it's a New York hotel, and it's called the Kettle Creek. The Kettering
Okay.
Hotel. They
All right.
changed it all into the Kettering, so all the labeling and everything was the Kettering.
Wow.
And the actor there was, what was his name? Kiefer Sutherland and Rob Young were there.
Wow.
And 25%, I didn't know this, 25% of movies made in Hollywood are made
Made in North America?
made in Toronto.
So is that in just
Toronto.
in North
Just-
America?
Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And what else? They have the film festival there and the International Film Festival.
Right.
And they make the film industry brings in about 1.5 billion to Toronto every year.
Wow.
So
They didn't ask us to be extras. We could have been extras.
I know,
I know.
but they did say the one guy at the train station said, in order for them to shut down what they shut down, I mean they shut down that street. Do you
Right,
know how
right.
busy that is?
Oh my gosh.
They shut down a whole section, and how much that must have cost them to be able to do that.
Can't imagine.
But they had it all cleaned up. The time we got there, it was great. And,
Exactly.
what a wonderful, like, I can now say I stayed in the Royal York in Toronto, but I won't finish it that we didn't pay.
No.
But it was really nice. So that was our great experience to the yarn store in Toronto.
Exactly.
And it was really nice to be able to share that with you. And we're looking forward to more adventures in the future. Until next time.